All right. Good morning. Thank you so much to everyone who's here on Facebook Live with us, and good afternoon, good evening if you're watching the recordings, whether on Facebook or YouTube or whatever it be. Again, we are so grateful for everyone who's been sharing this and liking and subscribing. Please keep it up. You're helping us get the word out. We're very grateful. This is our edition of My Empowered Political Life for Monday, April 7th, 2025. And today we're talking about how the Department of Justice has they're suspending lawyers it says lawyer there. It turns out after I made this slide, there was a second one. So it's lawyers plural now, suspending them for telling the truth. That sounds like an exaggeration. Well, let's go through what happened and you can make up your mind, see if you think I'm exaggerating what actually happened here. So, a little bit of background. You'll recall we've covered this case a couple of times on this show, the case of Kilmar Abrego Garcia. Remember, he is now in the United States legally. There is a court order saying he's allowed to stay here. He was accosted in front of his 5-year-old son and renditioned to that brutal El Salvadorian prison, which is known for sadistic violence. There is no credible evidence that he has committed any crimes whatsoever. He's never been accused of a crime or, arrested for a crime, charged with a crime, either in El Salvador or the United States. And again, he was here legally under a judicial order. Abrego Garcia's family sued. The government admitted in court under oath that Abrego Garcia was not a criminal and he was deported in an administrative error, as they called it. The government also argued, we covered this, you'll remember, they argued that once it accosts someone without due process and sends them to a brutal foreign prison, then nothing can be done. They literally made that argument in court. They said that once we send you off to El Salvador, that's it. Nothing can be done, even if there was no due process, even if it was a mistake, even if you didn't commit any crimes. So there was another hearing on this case just on Friday afternoon, which is why we're covering it now this morning. The government was represented by Enez Reuveni. Mr. Reuveni is a senior attorney in the Justice Department. He has 15 years experience in prosecuting immigration cases. By all accounts, this is someone with an excellent reputation who served in multiple administrations and has consistently received praise from his superiors for what a good job he does. And so we had that hearing Friday, and under questioning from the judge, Mr. Reuveni had to make several admissions. Now, remember, whatever the administration says in public, because they can say anything they want in public, whatever they say in public, they have to tell the truth in court. When the administration's lawyers go to court, they are supposed to answer the judge's questions truthfully. So Mr. Reuveni admitted, under questioning from the judge, that the government's deportation of Abrego Garcia violated a court order. Mr. Reuveni said he did not know why this happened or why Abrego Garcia was in El Salvador, and that he had no further information for the judge on the subject. I do believe him that he didn't know what happened. When you go to court as a lawyer and you don't have an answer for the judge, you are supposed to say, I don't know. You just if the answer is I don't know, you say I don't know. And so, um, in other words, Mr. Reuveni literally just answered the judge's questions truthfully, which is his job in court. So, less than 24 hours later, after the hearing, the Department of Justice put Mr. Reuveni on indefinite suspension. Here are the reasons they gave. Quote, failing to follow a directive from your superiors, and quote, engaging in conduct prejudicial to their client apparently in their mind being the president. And then shortly thereafter, I had to update these slides because as soon as I made them, this happened. So I did a quick update. Mr. Reuveni's supervisor, Auguste Flentier, was also put on indefinite suspension, and the Department of Justice has given no reason for his suspension. So this is from Attorney General Pam Bondi. At my direction, every DOJ attorney is required to zealously advocate on behalf of the United States. Any attorney who fails to abide by this direction will face consequences. Now, there was some good news that came out of that hearing. The federal judge, Paula Shinas, she ordered that Abrego Garcia be returned to the United States by midnight tonight. I'm recording this on Monday, so midnight tonight, Monday. Quote, this is from the judge, the administration had no legal authority to arrest him, no justification to detain him, and no grounds to send him to El Salvador, let alone deliver him into one of the most dangerous prisons in the Western Hemisphere. That's the judge, Palashinas. Also from the judge, to avoid clear irreparable harm, and because equity and justice compels it, the court grants the narrowest and, dare say, only relief warranted and orders that defendants return Abrego Garcia to the United States. Now, again, I'm doing this Monday morning here. He is supposed to be returned by midnight tonight on Monday. I am not holding its breath. In fact, administration officials within hours of this order basically took to social media to start insulting her and calling her names. So that was a very mature response on their part. She also called the administration's actions, quote, wholly lawless and without legal basis. So again, please smash that like button, subscribe, share this with your friends if you think you have friends and family who could benefit from understanding this. Remember, I read all of this every day as part of my business and my job. It's what I do for a living. So I'm doing all this so you don't have to. And I'm trying to summarize it in these 15-minute news bites each weekday morning, and we do our weekend review Saturday morning, 7:30 Pacific, live on Facebook, 10:30 Eastern, and then uploaded to YouTube immediately after. So I'm trying to summarize stories like this that you may not have heard of, but that have great consequence in everything that's happening right now. So let's get right to doors and corners. Like a detective entering a dangerous room, we're going to look behind the doors and look around the corners to see what's coming next. So what are the implications here? So do you remember in the first week of the administration, we had something like a dozen Department of Justice lawyers who all quit? And many of them, when they resigned, they left scathing resignation letters along the way. They did this because they were ordered to do things right off the bat, which in their minds violated their professional ethics. And they could see this coming. What just happened, these lawyers who were fired for telling the truth, they could see this coming. Now, keep in mind that Enez Reuveni, he has made arguments in court that most of us find appalling over the last few weeks. He's argued the government can send people to a brutal foreign prisons and that nothing can be done about it. So this is not some woke liberal guy. He was arguing what the administration wanted to argue. But he made the mistake of truthfully answering a judge's questions on factual matters in court. And his truthful answers contradicted the administration's public statements, which they found embarrassing. So because he told the truth in court, which again, he is required to do, he was put on indefinite suspension. And then again, so was his supervisor a few hours later. And because he made those truthful answers and was suspended, the Department of Justice, what they're saying is they're going to put the metaphorical gun to their attorneys' heads and say, do what we want, even if it means lying in court, or else, or you're next. Who's up next? The next attorney will get up. If they tell the truth, they'll be suspended. Next one to get up, they tell the truth, they'll be suspended until they find someone who is willing to lie in open court. This is from Glenn Kirshner, former federal prosecutor, now a legal commentator online. Mr. Reuveni answered candidly and honestly. You must answer candidly and truthfully and honestly, and when you don't know, you must give that answer. You can't make stuff up. He's saying, look, Mr. Reuveni did nothing wrong here. He literally did his job in court by answering candidly and truthfully and honestly. That is what you are required to do as a lawyer. But because his candid and truthful answers contradicted the administration's narrative, he was put on leave, and they will keep doing this until they're willing to find someone who's willing to lie in court. We've seen a number of authoritarian actions by this administration. We've covered some of them on this channel. They've incarcerated people with no due process, including renditioning them to brutal foreign prisons. They are openly ignoring court orders at this point. They are openly violating appropriations laws and immigration laws, excuse me. This might be the worst yet in my mind. It is the abject corruption of the justice system to one man's will. And it's being done right out in the open. The Department of Justice is now being run like an ambulance chasing law firm or like a mobster's law firm rather than an agency which is supposed to be there to serve the public. So I don't know if you've heard of Czesław Miłosz. He is a Polish author, prolific Polish author, wrote a lot of books, a lot of poetry. He lived through both Nazism and communism. And we're going to do a couple quotes from him, and we're going to leave you with this for today. The man of the East cannot take Americans seriously because they have never undergone the experiences that teach men how relative their judgments and thinking and habits are. There, meaning Americans, their resultant lack of imagination is appalling. Because they were born and raised in a given social order and in a given system of values, they, again, Americans believe that any other order must be unnatural and that it cannot last because it is incompatible with human nature. But even Americans may one day know fire, hunger, and the sword. We're going to leave you with that for today, a warning about American susceptibility to authoritarianism because of how complacent and how egotistical we become in this country. I will see you all tomorrow.